What's going on, fish? Welcome back to your favorite pond, the Coy Pond, episode 67. As always, back in studio, joined with our host that is the mostest, big old K-Dog, on for another week. Don't forget, you can find us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music. Follow us on Twitter, and never forget to leave us a voicemail on speakpipe.com.
Don't be shy.
/ the Coy Pond. You can, at this point, there's nothing more to rant about, but as you know, Combine's coming up around the corner, about a week away.
Yep.
Little less than a week, technically. I think today's the 19th. And draft a couple months out still.
Yep.
But that does not stop some people from constantly drafting.
And that's right. And now mock drafts, I'm up to about 72.
Yep.
So it's a wonderful way to relax before going to bed and reading all the information. I probably need to open up and get some more data sources, so I make sure and get a broad range of strengths and weaknesses on all these players. So I'm keen these days on football IQ.
I like that.
I use the immortal philosophy of Jimmy Johnson.
Right.
And if you ever, the former Cowboys coach, if you ever watch Jimmy Johnson, A Football Life, you'll see in one of the episodes where Bill Belichick goes down to visit him and solicit advice, and they go out on Jimmy Johnson's boat, which is named Three Rings, by the way. And he says, I remember when you told me that, Bill Belichick does, of Jimmy Johnson. He goes, yeah. He goes, in 92, when we were looking at possibly Charles Haley, and they're wanting to get rid of him in San Francisco, he goes, what's the matter? Is he dumb? And they're like, no, he's really, really smart.
Oh, boy.
And that's what Jimmy Johnson said, hit me in the head with a hammer if I ever bring in another dumb player.
Yep. And
Bill Belichick subscribed to the same thing based on that conversation. So I'm heavily relying on football IQ this year, looking at my mock drafts.
I love it. I mean, you are the mock draft master that we follow to a T. He's won me plenty of money that will be coming out when the time comes. We'll get to that.
And you want to talk about...
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No worries.
Forgotten. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with the happiest of hearts to announce that after months of hard work and dedication and grinding 24/7...
For you.
For the people.
For the people. Working for the people.
For the people. We have now officially opened the Coy Pond merch store. You can find your... let's give a round of applause.
That's well deserved. Well deserved.
Yes. So we got sweatshirts. We got hats. We've got, I think, koozies. We got women's and men's clothing.
Cooler bags.
Yes.
All kinds of shit.
Yeah. Actually, a lot of different style hats. I was pleasantly surprised. During this portion, I'll probably be playing or record a little bit of the store on my computer and put it on here. But we got everything. So if you want to support the podcast in any way, go on there and buy yourself, the latest and greatest.
We welcome
fashion. I haven't looked too far into it yet, but, we'll look at it more.
Yeah.
I believe you can customize where the logo goes and stuff of that.
I think so.
So, all good things. If you want it big and flashy like this sweatshirt, if you want it a little bit in the corner, you can put it up there. If you want the secondary logo that they were nice enough to make for us, you can get it on a visor.
Yep.
Very fashionable.
All kinds of possibilities.
Yes. Colors, sizes, genders,
combinations.
Very, very wonderful. But yes, that is finally live. I will put a link in the description of this video. And going forward, it'll be in the about main part of our channel on YouTube. I'll have to add that to Spotify, but wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching, it will be readily available for you to go purchase something if you'd so like.
Yes.
Every little bit supports the show.
That's right. And we'd like to extend a little thank you to Aaron for the wonderful Coy Pond, essentially, decanter and wonderful bourbon glasses. How fantastic and showy.
Yes, we will be using that a lot come this next NFL season if it's anything like this past one for both of our teams.
Especially for me.
Yeah, we can't. Especially for him. So, you know what? We have a long time before that happens. And as always, I want to go ahead and say, if you have any suggestions on videos that you would like to see, as we get into this offseason, Lord knows when the summer comes around and there's nothing to talk about, we might be ranking our favorite Taco Bell menu items. I mean, at this rate, we're looking at movies, stocks, and some of the older stuff if you're a real Coy Pond fan from the beginning we were originally doing.
That's right.
So it might take a highway on the NFL talk. We'll sneak that if there is any at the beginning.
And it's a perfect place now for everybody, right?
Yes.
The season's over. The Super Bowl is over.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has that one thing that they didn't have a couple weeks ago. Hope. Hope returns.
Hope is back.
Yes, and so are the idiot free agency ideas you see all over clickbait on YouTube and things like that, where they're talking about how Joe Montana is coming back and going to save the Colts or some shit
Watt
like that.
On his way back to save the Bengals after a bet he made on Twitter.
Right.
T. Higgins' mom calling people selfish bastards, but then claiming she was not talking about the Bengals front office. So, just a reminder as we get into draft season, I think I've said this every year now for 2 years, headlines are there to play a part in the chess game that is the draft.
That's right.
If you have no idea what I'm talking about, watch the movie The Draft.
The Draft.
That is dramatized,
it's a really
but it
good
gives
one.
you an insight into all of these headlines. A lot of these headlines are potential bullshit.
And if you haven't seen it, go look at the movie sometime between now and April when the draft comes.
Yep.
Kevin Costner, Jennifer Garner.
I thought
It's
it was
a
a
great
movie.
cast. I watch that probably once a month. It's
Feel
a great
good,
movie.
cool movie, but
Yep.
yes, just keep in mind headlines could be bullshit until you see fucking Ian Rappaport or some of those other guys that I'm blanking on the name of reporting on it. Don't believe it. I mean, are we going to potentially use it because it's a major headline? Well, of course. Of course. I mean, Justin Herbert is going to the Chiefs for Patrick Mahomes this offseason. But,
Of course, we have to entertain all this. This, after all, is an entertainment program.
Yeah, we're
right?
trying. We're doing our best.
We're here to entertain you.
God, it's a week to week, but
Not to juggle, but
I am trying. Holy hell.
Well, we kind of juggle.
Well, we juggle a lot, but
Juggle topics.
Juggle some. Gotta juggle.
And without further ado.
Yes, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this episode. You saw the thumbnail when you clicked it. If you didn't, if you read the title, if you didn't, we're talking about new head coaches. Hey, let's meet the coaches.
Let's meet them.
Just that easy.
Contestant number 1.
Yeah, no particular order. We're just going to run through and kind of enjoy talking about some of these new guys if you're fans of those teams.
That's right.
And at number 1,
we
Old Duval.
And so the Jaguars are a mess, aren't they? They really are a mess right now.
You know what cracks me up is that I don't know if you saw this clip. The old GM, before he got fired, was sitting in a room with Sean Kahn, who I believe is the name of the owner.
Yes.
I'm sorry if I butchered it. And he's going, I want someone to come in here and, run this organization and be good at it. And he goes, even if I have to fire the GM right now. And not even, I think, a week later, he fired him.
Did he really?
And then picked up some supporting casts at the Jaguars, which I find to be ruthless, but also, they've been a mess.
Yeah, they've been a mess. They need young, innovative ideas.
Yep.
And as we know, Tampa Bay has done a really good job with Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And Liam Cohen was a big part of that.
He was.
So it's time for him to step out. He's not even 40 years old yet, which is crazy.
It is insane, isn't it?
And this trend is happening all across the NFL.
It is.
More than ever. I mean, and so Colin has some great information here about the background of Liam Cohen. Background with the Rams.
Yes.
As a quarterback coach, receiver coach. So offensive coordinator. Then to Tampa Bay. So the guy's definitely got a background to him.
And switching, he has had roles in both NFL and in college with UK. And it's kind of funny to see how much he's jumped back and forth.
Yeah.
But the only 2 instances I really found where wherever he went didn't do so hot was the Kentucky his last year. They were 7-6. That, didn't maybe have as great of a comeback as he really wanted to have.
Mm-hmm.
The first time, though, he had Will Levis, and UK finished at 18th in the poll rankings in college.
Wow.
Which for UK, I would say that was pretty good. I don't know what else they had going on. I'm not going to act like it did, but
It's amazing how that program's come along,
yes,
by the way.
they had done really well.
Yeah.
And he jumped between the Rams a bunch, somehow missing the Super Bowl.
Oh
He
my
was there.
God.
He was there for the Super Bowl loss to the Patriots.
Okay.
Left early, missed the Super Bowl win against the Bengals, and then came back. But at
grief.
that point, that's where he met Baker Mayfield because that was the season that Stafford got hurt and Baker played a majority of the rest.
So that's the connection there.
Yes, and then when he goes back to Kentucky, goes to Tampa Bay then for the first time.
Huh.
And now he's with Jacksonville.
So, Mark Stoops, Sean McVay, you said.
Yep.
That's amazing. And can you fix Trevor Lawrence? Well, he's got a little track record there.
He doesn't look bad with quarterbacks. I wouldn't say at the time when he found Baker, people were saying that Baker was washed. But that was after the whole Browns debacle where people were like, why the fuck did the Browns get rid of Baker? Baker, I believed, was at Carolina and then got picked up by the Rams.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where him and Liam Cohen met up for the first time.
Interesting.
And I would say based on that, I can't remember exactly how that Rams season went when he found him, but he did pretty well with Tampa Bay.
He really did.
And Baker's a dog, don't get me wrong. He'll be fine with any quarterback's coach, but there's no debate, no arguing that Baker didn't do well enough.
Right.
With him around.
And this is kind of interesting just to add on to this. So the offensive coordinator that he's bringing in was previously the assistant quarterback coach with the Vikings.
Okay.
So
Sam
season, Darnold,
fixed him.
I don't know how long he was there, but he was there at least for that, so he had a hand in that.
Yeah.
So bodes well for Trevor Lawrence, I would say.
Yeah, and I only put it on there because, you think about who do the Jaguars need, what do the Jaguars need?
Yeah.
Definitely to reevaluate the team as a whole.
Yes.
Revitalize that offense and make it so that Mac Jones doesn't look like a better quarterback than Trevor Lawrence.
Yes.
Now, who knows what's going on there?
Yep.
That organization has been a mess for a few years. But it seems like if you're a Jaguars fan, everything's heading in the direction of, they're making it a point that we need to make Trevor Lawrence look like he's a first overall pick, like he was in his draft.
So, another one to throw in here, too, and I agree with what you're saying. Defensive coordinator, Jacksonville Jaguars, is Anthony Campanile.
Okay.
And he most recently served as the Dolphins linebackers coach.
That's pretty cool.
And prior to that, he was a defensive consultant for the Michigan Wolverines.
Now I like that.
So, interesting. They're bringing in some new talent.
Yeah.
Definitely revitalized from where they were, and definitely the youth movement is on in Jacksonville.
Hiring young guys and trying to take care of some very apparent problems down there.
Yes.
And you got to start somewhere. Who knows if this works out? I like what they're doing down there.
Yeah.
But you got to make changes. And I think that's kind of what Sean Kahn's finally figuring out is Doug Peterson wasn't working out. I don't hate Doug Peterson. Wasn't working out. Urban, fuck yeah. He struck out of the gate.
Yeah.
And then he settled for okay. And I think now the pressure's on to be like, we need to be better.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, and I get that sequence because
he's new owner.
Yeah, and you went from Urban Meyer and just chaos to Doug Peterson, who could just settle the thing down, right?
Urban Meyer, finger gun in the chop house.
I mean, at least Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl, right?
Yes. So, and the way it finished with the Eagles, it didn't seem to be Doug Peterson's fault either at the time.
Agree with that.
And Sean Kahn, new to football.
Right.
It seemed, at least he wasn't throwing drinks at his own fans.
Right.
We'll give him that.
Yep.
Just figuring it out. And he's making moves. So
that's right.
Not bad. Not bad. Need a good draft, but not a bad initial start for the Jaguars in the slightest bit, I'd say.
Yep.
All right.
Moving
on.
On to the Raiders.
Pete Carroll.
Pete.
Old Petey boy.
Yes.
Mint gum in the mouth.
Now
He's back.
Let's start with Tom Brady getting involved with this and buying in, because that's a key piece.
That will be huge
to these decisions that I think that how they're coming to these conclusions.
Completely agree. You look at the Raiders, okay? What do you have? You have now Pete Carroll, Tom Brady, and the bowl cut boy Mark Davis.
Yep.
I can tell you who will not be making decisions for the next several months, other than to sign a check. Mark Davis.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and that was probably Tom Brady's thing to say to him is, look, you got to mind your own bit. Go play with your little girlfriend, and leave this to me.
Go roll the slots. I'm going to take care of this.
Yes, that's right. So, real important hire here. Again, Tom Brady's fingers are all over this thing.
Yes.
Because Pete Carroll should have beat him in the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, it comes back
to
that play.
Yep.
And here we are again, right? We've talked about it before when he got hired.
Yep.
But then the GM that they brought in, John Spytek, he was vice president of player personnel for the Buccaneers when Tom Brady won a Super Bowl with the Buccaneers.
Oh, so Tom Brady's bringing in people that he likes.
Yep.
Obviously. I don't know why I said that, but
but more than that he knows will get the job done.
Yes.
He's done fucking around.
Which is incredibly scary for a fan of a team that's in that division.
I agree with you. It says he was instrumental in assembling talent that contributed to the team's Super Bowl win. So, very interesting.
Well,
known for his sharp eye for talent and leadership skills, Spytek's hiring signals a new era of ambition and innovation for the Raiders franchise. Oh, God.
Well, and anything's a step up from Tom Telesco, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
So, Raiders are heading in the right direction. Obviously, we saw the press conference with Pete Carroll initially where Marshawn Lynch was in there yelling Raiders or Pete Carroll. I can't remember what he was yelling, but
I couldn't even understand what he was saying.
No, but they have this. They have Skittle Man back, which I think is only even better because they are going to have to build from the ground up with that team.
And throw this on top of it: the NCAA football championship offensive coordinator, Chip Kelly, is now the OC for the LA Raiders.
Yeah, what a crazy career he's had.
Isn't that weird?
It is, but
college football,
and then he went to the
NFL,
Eagles,
chaos there.
Yeah, 49ers. Am I crazy?
I don't know if
he's been around.
He's been around, yeah.
And so seeing Chip Kelly come back as the offensive coordinator is interesting.
So he's innovative again.
Yeah.
He's got some weird ass shit. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Well, that's why I'm thinking back to Ohio State season, watching some of those playoff games with friends, and trying to remember if there's anything crazy. Obviously, I think it was at the Notre Dame game towards the end where they threw the ball downfield on one-on-one coverage on that Wilson receiver. That was cool, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Ohio State's an easy gig.
Right.
You have a lot of talent there.
You do.
I'm curious with Chip Kelly what that looks like when you have bottom of the barrel at the Raiders until you draft a star-studded wide receiver. I mean, you've got 2 first-round tight ends there. You have a quarterback that works, not Tucky Minshew, but Aiden O'Connell.
Right.
Was it Zamir White that was on the That was
Zamir White,
the running back that
but he was a big disappointment.
Yeah.
I really thought he was going to do something, and he sucked.
He did a little bit. So it's one of those things where I'm like, okay,
yep.
What could he do?
Yep.
How does he fix this?
This team, again, you're in that division. I hate to say this, but this team is ripe to make one of the biggest turnarounds of the season.
You would think they have to, especially when I would assume Tom Brady, Mark Davis, Pete Carroll even are going to have a short leash on some of these coordinators.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to come out swinging, or it's going to move along quickly.
That's exactly it.
But we'll look into what the Raiders are up to.
We could skip kind of over Brian Schottenheimer. We've talked a little bit about it.
We have. Matt Eberflus, though.
Matt Eberflus is
there.
The
Cowboys.
Yep. I think they've done a pretty good job hiring coordinators as well. The offensive coordinator, Clayton Adams, is from the Cardinals.
Okay. Oh, that's right.
And got a good offensive line coach who's already talked about how Tyler Guyton is just really raw and hasn't played a lot of football. And once he gets going with him, he's going to turn into a beast.
Okay.
So they want to be physical. They want to run the ball. Kind of gives you a little preview of what the Cowboys might do with the draft. Eberflus likes to play like the Eagles with 4 linemen up front, hold down the fort, and let everybody play around them. So this draft coming up is very deep in defensive linemen, and I would not be surprised to see Dallas take 3 of them, especially because you got probably some people leaving the Cowboys too via free agency.
Yeah, and ironically, out of all these teams we're talking about today, the Cowboys were one of the more complete teams in general, aside from the running back thing. We beat that drum.
Yep.
So it's more or less of just on paper, what are they going to do for the team? And on top of that, can everyone stay healthy for the upcoming season? Not so much that they need to find a star quarterback. They need to find a star defensive player.
Yeah, a number 1 receiver.
Right. They're more of just trying to get supporting roles filled.
Need to get some pieces around it, strengthen both lines like the Eagles did.
Right.
If the Cowboys have half a brain, hopefully they paid attention to the O-line, D-line, and the importance of that.
Yep.
Doesn't matter what the hell you put out there if you've got time, right?
Exactly. So
there you go.
For sure. We're on the same page. We're going to just gloss over that one for the sake of everything. Kellen Moore.
Super Bowl guy, right?
Super Bowl win. Sirianni begs for him to stay, and he goes trancing down to the old New Orleans.
Isn't that
set
crazy?
Up shop in NOLA.
Amazing, right?
I'll be honest. I thought it could happen. I think on the podcast last week with Matt, I might have mentioned my opinion on if I thought he would stay or not.
Yeah.
But I mean, it wasn't long after they were signing him to the Saints, so
it was a done deal before they even got to the Super Bowl.
Quick
that he was going to
turnaround.
go there.
Yep.
And there was rumors about was he going to go to Dallas or not. And I kind of wish the Cowboys had taken him over Brian Schottenheimer.
right.
Just because he was there before, worked with Dak, had success,
Had a lot of success with Dak.
and then had tremendous, success with Jalen Hurts.
Yep.
So begs the question, how good is more, and how much of that was Hurts? That first Super Bowl, as we know, really pissed him off
Yep.
and focused him. How much of that was Kellen? How much of that was Hurts? We're going to find out.
Completely agree. Kellen Moore's bounced around the league ever since he was with the Cowboys. Literally, it was the Cowboys, Chargers, Eagles, and now he's a new head coach. And that's kind of what I thought, is that he wanted to get to that head coaching role.
Yeah.
So he added to his resume.
Yeah.
And what better than a Super Bowl win as an offensive coordinator, where you win against the Chiefs 40-something to 20 or whatever that score ended up being.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. Derek Carr, Spencer Rattler.
Yeah.
He's historically a aired out down the field type of guy. Now, who knows if he'll be like pushing out his feelings on the offense onto his coordinator, or if he'll be the one calling the plays initially he kind of figures it all out.
I would bet he'll be calling the plays.
That's what I would think.
He'll probably hire coordinators that have some head coaching experience there, perhaps.
I kind of feel like they'll go with the Cowboys route of, they brought Eberflus as a defensive coordinator to help Schottenheimer out with some of those major first-year head coaching responsibilities that they may not know about.
I think what happened here is I don't know what the inside scoop was, but Kellen Moore having known the Cowboys organization, I think he realized that he could have more of his fingerprints on the team in New Orleans than in Dallas, and I think he actually didn't want the Dallas job. That's my inside thought.
Yeah.
It's the only reason you'd explain why somebody like Brian Schottenheimer, who probably wasn't calling the plays like Kellen Moore was, takes the job, because for him it's the chance.
Right.
Kellen Moore already didn't have to go for that, right?
Exactly, and that's if you're not on the Cowboys first year, that's a lot less stress.
And here we go again. Sean Payton went from the Cowboys to the Saints.
Oh.
Kellen Moore goes from the Cowboys to the Saints. So I don't know what the deal is there, but it seems to be the way out.
Yeah.
Or the way on.
Yeah,
on up.
we'll have to see. Is Spencer Rattler the next Drew Brees? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Who knows, though? I wasn't impressed with Spencer Rattler too much in this regular season. I think we talked about him pretty highly leading up to it.
Yeah.
Didn't amount to much.
Nah, but and I don't know how much opportunity and the surrounding cast really had, but
they have some holes to fill.
I'll kind of be shocked if Derek Carr's around there.
I
think they're going to move on, but maybe they don't. Maybe he does what he did with Hurts. Takes a guy that's already there and works with him. I don't know.
Completely agree. Derek Carr might take the backup position and let Rattler, and kind of coach him. Who knows?
Could very well be.
We have a lot of time to overreact to who's staying and who's going. Moving on.
Yes, sir.
The old Chi-Town Bears.
Yep.
Ben Johnson.
Another 30-year-old.
Yes. It's crazy. It is.
3 out of 5 that we've talked about are 30s.
And you know what's really crazy is I didn't realize how much experience Ben Johnson had. He was a graduate assistant at Boston College in 2009 to 10.
This list is quite long.
And he goes all the way through the Dolphins coaching room.
Yeah.
Straight to the Lions. He's only been at NFL-wise, he's only been at 2 organizations leading up to the Bears.
Yep.
And to be honest, I didn't deep dive the Dolphins in those years too much, because his fingerprints weren't all over that team.
Right.
But obviously, you've seen what he's done with the Lions since 2019.
What do you think this guy's going to do with Caleb Williams?
I'm
going to be interesting.
Yes.
It's a little like Cliff Kingsbury with Jaden Daniels, right, in Washington.
And that's where I'm kind of in between a lot, because Caleb Williams definitely had the arm. He definitely had some stinker games last season.
Yeah.
DJ Moore became a very obvious favorite for him.
Yep.
Who was the rookie wide receiver? Odunze.
Yep.
Didn't have the season that he wanted.
No.
And I think it was his dad that was throwing shade at Caleb Williams on Twitter a lot, which was crazy for a rookie.
You're right.
That's a whole new generation thing, to be honest.
It is.
But then you have where was I going with that?
Well, and Caleb Williams, at the NFL awards show, is explaining his comments about not winning Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year. I don't understand what Jaden Daniels did that I didn't do.
Huh.
So
Little
Ben
delusional.
Johnson's got some head case stuff to deal with Caleb Williams.
I think this is a tall task. I don't think he's bitten off more than he can chew. I think this will be harder than he probably thinks it will be, but I also agree with the fact that there's tremendous upside.
Yes.
Got to fix that offensive line.
Yep.
Can't have Caleb Williams running for his life because it was very obvious he got scared quick.
Yep.
Who wouldn't?
And interesting, he's going to play the Lions twice a year.
Yes.
That's an interesting decision.
Yes, staying within the division, NFC North. Well, you saw the NFC North last year. The Bears got ran through like a whore at a dance. It was ridiculous. That's your first job? Excuse my language.
I won't describe the imagery I just had.
Excuse
Let's just
my
say
language,
it was grotesque.
But that was... I don't get it.
I don't either. So, good on him for taking the job he wanted.
An extra star in my book for doing that.
And he honestly could have taken any job he wanted to.
Yes, I believe he had the where do you want to be type of
and he
position.
picked that one. I guess because of the young quarterback. He wanted to mold a young quarterback. I think.
That has hope. You look at the Raiders, no hope. No. Saints, no hope.
Yep.
Jets, no hope really.
No. Who's that going to be?
Oh, it's not Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. But a lot of these other teams didn't have a quarterback that you could say could be a guy.
You're right.
So they're kind of Bryce Younging him right now. We'll see what happens.
Yep.
I hope Ben Johnson does well. I think it'd be great. But also, I'm sure there's a lot of Lions fans that still feel like they were betrayed for that whole deal.
Yep, exactly right.
And kind of a fun fact, I kind of looked up the Ben Johnson coaching tree if you traced all the way back. And this is according to Reddit, so, take it with a grain of salt, but this is the only one I could find that people were not saying that he was wrong in the comments. It would have gone Paul Brown, Don Shula, Perkins, Parcells, Sean Payton, Dan Campbell, to Ben Johnson.
That's incredible.
Which is a hell of a tree.
It's an incredible tree. And as a Cowboys fan, having the Parcells, Peyton, Campbell connection, I saw that, and it was pretty amazing. So, not to mention Brown and Shula before that.
And that's if you draw it all the way back.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's
to the roots.
Incredible. Incredible.
We'll have to see how he does. I'm hoping he does well.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yep.
We get these cases all the time where they ended up just being coordinators that were amazing because for whatever reason, when they branched out, it didn't work out.
Just worked, right?
Yep. And speaking of Aaron Rodgers no longer being on the Jets, Aaron Glenn.
What do you think about that?
New coach. I think it had to happen. I think Jets fans were disappointed. He runs out with the American flag on, was that 9/11 that year? First game was, and it was a very, very powerful moment for the NFL, and he tears his Achilles 3 plays later.
Unbelievable. That was it.
Yes.
That was his best moment as a Jet.
Comes back the next year, disappointing. They ship him out.
Hard to argue.
It's hard to argue.
It
is what it is. Aaron Glenn, I think, has a real chance of revitalizing this Jets defense.
Yes.
Now, if you look at the numbers, and Lord knows I'm a big numbers guy, Aaron Glenn was able to take the Lions from the last place when he started in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
They were the worst team for points against, and bring them to, I think it was like the 10th worst, or 10th best.
It's impressive.
Points against, which... when you start looking early, it moves up a couple of notches and then jumps this past year with how they did. But, he improved their defense over his tenure.
Definitely did.
That's best case scenario as a defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
I would say.
And so it makes sense for the Jets that was really their strong suit before Aaron Rodgers got there.
Yes.
And then that defense kind of fell apart. I don't know what happened.
I'm still questioning it. They didn't. I don't remember a lot of the pieces moving around. Obviously, they had, what's his name, go to the Eagles that was throwing a fit. Hakeem, no.
Oh, the linebacker. Hassan Reddick?
Hassan Reddick?
Yeah.
He went from the Jets to the Eagles, I think, right?
Yes.
And unless he was the single-hand glue, which I refuse to believe, holding that defense together, the way the Jets' defense just spiraled down in production-wise from 2023 to 2024 needs to be studied because there was not many pieces moved, and they were by far a lot worse of a defense than they should have been.
Yeah, it's crazy. And along with that, Darren Mauge is now the general manager for the Jets.
Yep.
And he was the assistant GM for the Broncos, played a pivotal role in the roster building and shaping that team's structure.
Okay.
So, and obviously Denver's come a long way.
I would say so.
He had a hand in that.
That's great to hear if you're a Jets fan.
And very interesting that Robert Salah, who was the head coach,
yes,
now goes back to the D coordinator with the Niners, and Steve Wilkes, who was the defensive coordinator for the Niners, is now the Jets defensive coordinator.
You know, I think that's best case for both teams.
So
the 49ers had one of the best defenses when it was Salah. Salah, or however you say his name, and he goes to the New York Jets, and it's
ass
burning. Yes,
yeah,
it is burning.
You know, and we all know Aaron Rodgers, whatever the deal is going on there with him behind the scenes, it was toxic.
It was bad.
For whatever reason, I don't know why.
It didn't seem good. And regardless how you're reading his body language, how you were reading his comments on and off the field, it was not a great fit.
No.
He brought all of his friends over to the Jets. It didn't work.
I still don't understand exactly what happened with all that shit.
It makes no sense because that's a veteran quarterback that's won a Super Bowl, that's been in the league, has had amazing years, and either it's time to call it quits and he did it 1 year later than he should have, or it just wasn't a good fit.
So
I guess we can count on him going to the Vikings next, probably then, right? If he takes the Brett Favre route.
That's right.
But Jets. I believe Aaron Glenn's a great choice. I pray for Jets fans that this is going to be a step in the right direction.
Yep.
And they'll go from there. And, another year of hiring a new coach and getting a new quarterback for them.
Among all the teams Aaron Glenn played for, I think he definitely played for the Cowboys.
He did.
And I think he was maybe a Bill Parcells guy
before
that.
He might have been. I saw he had a lot of more playing stats than I assumed he did.
Yeah.
And he played for, I think, 3 or 4 different teams.
Yeah. But I know when he was with Dallas, I always liked him. So
yeah. He was in the league for as long as he was. Yeah. He couldn't have been that bad.
No.
And based off his stats, I thought last night that he had done a pretty good job. So.
Yeah.
He should be able to relate to the players way more than the last couple coaches the Jets have had.
Yep.
They need to lean on their defense and just to accept their offense is going to be rough for another couple years.
And yet old enough at 52 to command some respect.
Yes,
too, so.
And to stay in the league for 10 more years if he wants to. I mean, fucking Pete Carroll's back.
Yeah. Yeah,
He'll be fine. I mean, the average age of the AFC West now, I think, is 65 for coaching. They all are going to need walkers.
I was going to say, I just noticed the only guy you don't have the age down for is Pete Carroll.
Yeah, I didn't even bother. Look at him.
Oh, I see, you just wrote the word old here.
Bold. 100 font. But
we move on.
Down the street from the Meadowlands.
Yes.
Mike Vrabel, hired by the Patriots.
Finally.
I mean, every fucking team should have wanted him.
That guy, he just knows how to build a tough program,
and I'm convinced that there's only one job that he wanted, and it was the Patriots.
I think it was too. And I think he was just biding his time until he hopefully got his shot, as they say.
And call me crazy, with all these coaches we've had take a year off, Pete Carroll, Mike Vrabel, maybe a couple others I might be forgetting that haven't come back just yet. I think taking a year off if you're a coach was a great way to reset.
I completely agree with it.
I'm kind of surprised that more haven't done it leading up to this point. Maybe more have, and it's just now big news in the media. I'm not sure. But I love it. I love the move because it keeps it fresh. I would assume it keeps coaches around a little bit longer than they would be otherwise.
Yep.
And we're not seeing the same faces every year on the same team. It's kind of refreshing.
An Ohio State Buckeye, I don't know if he won a championship. I'm sure he did. Then he goes on, plays for the Patriots, wins 3 Super Bowls. A hell of a career.
Yeah.
Then he transitions to the role as a successful head coach at the Titans.
Yes.
Where he never had really a quarterback.
No, and we saw how the A.J. Brown trade went with the front office and all that stuff.
Yep. Led the team to consistent playoff appearances and built a reputation as a strong leader.
The Titans were a 1 seed when the Bengals went.
Yeah. Yep. And before his head coaching career, he was a defensive coach for the Houston Texans. I didn't realize that.
That's pretty cool.
So, anyway, good on them to get him back into the fold. He's going to be successful. There's no doubt.
Just a tough-as-nails guy. That should bring back the Belichick vibe.
I don't know what I think about Josh McDaniels being back as OC, though.
Yeah,
He must be good because Belichick welcomed him back, but he also seems like there's something else about him.
Well, he failed as a head coach with the Raiders.
Yeah, and the Broncos.
He couldn't do that, but maybe he's a numbers guy that no one can relate to.
Maybe
but
he's
he
just
can
that.
hand the card.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
This classic, what I was talking about earlier, classic great coordinators that would never could be a head coach.
Yep.
Kind of like Matt Patricia.
Yeah, right.
Maybe that's Belichick's
with Ohio
tree.
State. Yeah.
Bill Belichick, every time they leave, shoots them with the dumb gun or something. But
maybe you're not getting out of here without me.
No,
you don't have my blessing.
He has the Men in Black little neuralizer. You don't remember anything about the last 5 years.
You know who was big with that was Parcells. If you left him, he tried to screw you on the other side. He did that to Belichick.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it at all.
This is not a head coaching comment.
Yeah.
But it's something worth noting. We know that I was a big fan of the Tennessee Titans and Brian Callahan.
Yes.
And they struggled horribly this year.
They did.
Just a tough season. But they have changed their general manager.
That's good.
And who they brought in is Mike Borgonzi. And he was the director of football operations for the Chiefs.
That's huge.
So that is a big situation brewing in Tennessee. Player evaluation, draft strategy, team building, widespread respect across the league. That might be the missing piece for the Titans to kind of take that next move. So
yes.
I'm excited on behalf of them and Brian Callahan. Brian Callahan seemed like he was trying to do it all by himself down there.
Yeah.
And I just think the guy's got it. He just needs something around him, and that's a big hire for the Titans.
That is, considering also they can both band around the fact that they played against each other numerous times when he was at Kansas City and he was at Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Titans have a new stadium going up in the next couple of years too.
Yeah.
Some real excitement in Tennessee. I would not be surprised if in the next 3 to 4 years they're more relevant in the AFC as a whole, because it seems like they're doing good things. Will Levis probably not the
answer there, quarterback, yeah.
But maybe it'll get you to a first overall pick, if that's what you're looking for. I agree completely, though. That's a great move on their part.
Yeah.
And to finish up with Mike Vrabel, I think he's going to take Drake May. I think he's going to mold him into what he couldn't with Will Levis based on this last year.
Yeah, great point.
And,
nice tie-in.
The Patriots have just butchered their wide receiver draftings over the last 3 years. I think they missed A.J. Brown. They traded away the pick for Ladd McConkey to the Chargers. I think it was Rashee Rice or Zay Flowers they missed on as well. They've not been hitting on wide receivers, and if they hit on one of the 4 of those guys, different story.
Honestly, outside of a few people, if you go all the way back to Belichick and Brady's days with the Patriots, they never have put a lot of emphasis on drafting the receivers.
Yeah.
It's always been a very big afterthought.
Yes. And I think that might be where Mayo struggled and didn't really think about the fact that you no longer have Tom Brady back there.
Yeah.
And also, Mike Vrabel's played with or had some iffy quarterbacks throughout the years.
Yeah.
So he could probably work with that better. Ramondre Stevenson last year not looking as bad as most people thought he would.
Yeah.
Given he had to help out with the quarterback position with, is that Jacoby Brissett back in New England? Yeah. So
it was.
They weren't working with much, and I think Vrabel's going to be a much tougher guy. Yeah. I mean, it was Gerard Mayo that said, when the guys hit the field, I can no longer coach them.
Yeah.
And it was like, why the fuck would you say that?
Yeah.
So some stability coming back to New England, which is horrifying. I hate it.
Yeah.
If the Chiefs and Patriots could both just dismantle the organizations for a decade, that'd be wonderful. And such is life.
That's right.
That's all we got for you this week.
Pretty good episode, I think.
I think that was fucking great. Hey, check out the store. Appreciate you this week. Everyone have a great rest of your week.
Thanks for being here.
See you all next time.
Peace.